and welcome to On Track Mind. This is episode 2 of the podcast. I'm joined by the lovely Jodie Fieldhouse.
Hi.
Say hello.
Hello.
As you may know, Jodie has been racing in the GP2 championship the past year in BSB after 2 years out after COVID. So tell everyone about yourself. Give a little introduction.
I'm Jodie. I've been racing now for about 7 years. Last year I did my first year on the GP2 bike in the British Superbikes GP2 class. That was an experience, to say the least. And previously I've been racing the Moto3 in 2018 and 2019 in the British Superbikes. And the plan for this year is to race the GP2 again in the Superbikes class.
So, when you say it was an experience, how was it last year for you? Like, how did you feel going through all of that? Because it must be stressful.
Yes, I feel like I threw myself into a muddy puddle and didn't know where I was going for the first round, to be completely honest. I kind of just wung it for the first 2 rounds because I didn't know what I was doing, who I was, or what bike I was even riding. We had a lot of mechanical issues that were not major issues, but just silly little things from the bike being so old and being retired for 3 years prior to me riding it that came back out, unfortunately. And it was also a massive eye-opener on how having 2 years out during COVID actually puts you back.
Yeah.
But we learned a hell of a lot for the team. We experienced things that we have never experienced before. We've gone from running just a normal bike to running a race bike, and we're doing okay at it now, and we've fixed it, which is important.
Brilliant.
So
I was just going to say, on your Instagram, you could see every story was like, has anyone got any of this? Or the bike's packed up, and I could just see the frustration. Like, how did trying to get through that? Like, how did that feel? You've had 2 years off, you're trying to come back, and then it's just one thing after the other.
Yeah, the problem is we brought an Ariane 2 as a bike, and there's only 2 of them in the world that we're aware of, or 2 of them in the UK that we're aware of anyway. So he's very bespoke. There's nothing else like him. But also they were built in 2013 and raced in 2014 and 2015, and then they were then retired. So we brought him out of retirement in 2020. So he'd been sat for a very long time on display in a bike cafe of all places. So he come off of a display, and although we really wanted him to be a race bike, I don't think he wanted to be a race bike again. So everything that had been sat for the last 3 years had broken, but it broken individually. So we'd fix everything that we thought needed fixing, and then we'd ride it, and then 5 other things would break, and then it'd do that again every single round to us. And it wasn't because of the fact that we weren't looking after it properly. It was just like, oh, this swinging arm's been in it for the last 7 years, so let's just make that a problem. But it's the sort of things we can't replace until they're broke, sort of thing.
And with it constantly something happening, did you sort of second guess it? Was like, is it really worth it? Like, what was your thought process and mindset through that?
There was many times where we were about to throw it and skip. I won't lie. There was actually many race meetings where there was tears and arguments, and we run it as a family as well. So it's just me, my mum, my dad, and my boyfriend that run this bike. And there was times where I thought it was going to send us all in our own separate ways, and no one wanted to talk to each other. And we would come home from race meetings and not talk to each other because we were so angry at it because it just kept letting us down. And it actually got to the point where my dad was like, I'm not doing it. I'm done with it. If you want to race, you buy another bike. I'm not looking at it. And I got myself so fixated in the mindset. I was like, I either do it on this bike or I don't do it on anything, just to prove to myself that I can do it. So I feel like I was so frustrated and so upset, and there were so many tears, but I just had to push through it. It's one of those things I just wasn't ready to give up on it, and I'm still not ready to give up on it.
Yeah. So coming into this year, obviously we've got a couple months until it all starts back up again. What is your mindset going into it after last year? Like, how are you feeling about this coming season?
Yeah, very positive mindset. Trying to stay very positive into it. Last year was a massive learning year. We learned a lot. It was a tough year. This year to us is going to be right, we've learned it, we've played with it, we've worked out somewhat of what we're doing. So next year, this year coming up, we'll push. We need to be going for better lap times. We need to have a better setup. We need to know what we're doing before we actually get there,
Yeah.
which would probably be a benefit, to be honest. So yeah, it's a very positive mindset. We've all gone into it. We've done a lot of research over the winter. We've spent a bit of money on it. We've put new things on it that we think are going to benefit us. So it's all very positive at the minute.
Good.
We're all looking forward to it. So we've got 4 days out here. This week is the first time we're riding this year, but we're looking forward to it, positive, and just focused on coming out quicker than we did last year,
Yes.
which is the main focus. Yeah.
And it's so good to see, because I think there's definitely been a growth in the amount of girls and women getting involved in racing. But for a few years, you were one of the only, sort of within the BSB world, the only one really. Obviously now we've got like the younger FHO girls, they're coming through. But when you did your first big race meeting and you turned up and were probably one of the only girls, or there wasn't many of you, how did you find that coming into it?
So my first race meeting I rocked up to, I was the only girl. It was just me. And I didn't really look at it any different. Like, I know I'm the only girl, and I know it's slightly different, but I feel like we can do it. So why should it be one of those things that make a fuss?
Yeah.
You get some people are brilliant about it and don't really look at you any different. You get other people that really don't like to be beaten by a girl, and it shows sometimes.
Yeah.
It's getting better now. So my first race, I was the only girl, and the second year in, like, one more crept in, and then you get one more the year after,
Yeah.
and there seems to be more coming in
Yes.
now, which is quite nice.
Yeah. And
So the mindset, the whole girls and racing thing,
yeah,
has opened up, definitely 100%. It's loads better than it used to be.
100%. And it's like I wouldn't imagine getting involved on the content side of things if I hadn't seen that growth in women and girls getting involved. But when you said that there is people that don't like to get beaten by a girl, they don't have the right mindset about it, how do you navigate that? Because I have times where people have said something to me and I'm like, oh god, I don't know what to do. Like, how do you deal with it? Because you've got to go out and race 10 minutes later. Like,
I used to get very upset about it. I'm like, oh, like, it's not the same. No one's treating me the same. I don't like it. Everything like that. Whereas if now I'm very much in the mindset where if they're funny with it, I'd just be like, okay, then whatever, laugh
yeah,
about it and ignore it, because it's only going to affect. I feel like it affects them more than it affects me, if that makes sense. So don't think of it like that. I always think of it in the way now where if, all right, my bike's bright pink and it stands
yes,
out.
I love it.
But if I rocked up to the grid in a black bike in completely black leathers and tucked all my hair away and kept my visor shut, they wouldn't know.
Yeah,
No one would know. So I don't know why it should be any different, because they do know.
yeah,
So I just put myself in very much that mindset where if you can't adjust to the way that things are now and the fact that girls are coming and we're getting better at what we're doing and we're getting quicker and we're learning, it's on you.
yeah.
We are coming. We're
We
coming
definitely
in full force.
are. And with results, with obviously you've won championships before, you've won quite a few, but in the, especially your class in GP2, the front 5, 10, however many are guys. Like, how, when you have a result and it's like I'm not up there with them, how do you feel about that? Like, how do you sort of cope?
So I'm obviously the only girl in my class in the GP2 at the moment. And the front boys in it are fast, very, very fast. They've been riding those bikes, majority of them, or bikes, for a very long time. And they've got a lot of talent. So I knew I was going to be further back the pack than what I started. And at the start of the year, it was a bit heartbreaking because I used to be one of those people at the front, and now it's like, oh, I'm one of the people at the back again. So it was a little bit disheartening at first, and I used to come in frustrated at myself and be quite upset. But then everyone would be like, well, you've just gone 4 seconds a lap faster, so what are you upset for?
Exactly, yeah.
I'd be like, yeah, but I'm still last. And they're like, yeah, but you're 4 seconds faster than you were
Yeah.
last time out. So I had to very much change my mindset at the start of the year, from going from I'm still last to, oh, I've actually gone 4 seconds faster in this one. Or I was 7 seconds behind in the last one, but now I'm only 3 seconds behind.
Yeah.
And it's very much that mindset. But the boys at the front of the class they are quick, and they're very, very, very talented riders. And at this point, and where I am on this bike and the stage I'm at, the best thing I can do is learn from them. So when they come
Yeah.
past me, is just to take on and learn and just do everything they can do, because I've got less experience. I'm a girl, so unfortunately that means we are slightly weaker, slightly smaller, which means it's harder.
Yeah.
And also, a female mindset is we don't do something fast until we've perfected it. So we'll
Yeah.
do it and do it and do it and do it, and it'll be rubbish. And then suddenly we'll go out there and do it really, really fast. And everyone's like, well, why'd you do that? Why'd you wait so long? And I'm like, because I had to know what I was doing first.
Yeah. No, I can vouch for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there are quite a few girls, there's quite a few women in the industry that they sort of almost resent the fact that the guys are ahead of them, but you're clearly very open to it. You know that, you know, they are quick, and you said you learn from them. They're
Yeah.
beneficial to you. What made you
Yeah.
have that mindset instead? Because it's so easy for, in a male dominated industry, for women to resent the industry they're in.
I think because I think it's because like they are naturally in this kind of sport, they've got a benefit to it.
Yeah.
And there is more of them, so it's never going to be a female dominated sport, because you
Yeah.
can't get one girl to come along in a class and top it. So it's always going to be a male dominated sport. Um, and it could be easy to resent them, but I think you just got to learn off of them, because also if you're the girl at the front, I can guarantee they hate you for it.
Yeah.
So it's the other way. It's more the other way around. I think the best way to do is just to look at them as help and just appreciate it. And 9 times out of 10, when you start getting yourself at the front, they're good as gold with you. And I feel like actually sometimes they think it's great fun.
Yeah.
So, and I've been at the front, and I know how it feels to be at the front, and the people behind you that don't like you being at the front. So, and I feel like the other way around, I'm not at the front, but I actually enjoy the people at the front being around me, because I just learn so much when
Yeah.
they're there.
And I think that's amazing to have that mindset, because it's so easy to sort of have a negative look on it. It was like, well, I'm not doing this because they're doing that. And it is really hard sometimes. And with that, you have a very positive mindset about it. And it shows that you are extremely strong. But so you said you took 2 years out. In your career, have you ever thought, not just because of your gender, not just because of having 2 years out or whatever, have you ever felt that your mental health has sort of like dropped slightly because of what you do? Yeah, talk me through that.
Yeah, big time. I was having a really strong year on the Moto3 in 2018, and I come back at the start of 2019 even stronger. And I unfortunately got taken out by someone who was behind me. That on the last lap, on the last corner, just wiped me clean out, and it broke my arm before I'd even fallen off the bike. That
Oh,
set me back quite drastically, because it was almost like because I had gone so many years then without being injured, without having any issues,
yeah,
and that set me back quite a lot. And I managed for 2019 to get my courage back, get my strength back, and enjoy myself again. And those few months after that were stressful, because I couldn't do it. I was upset. I couldn't work out why I couldn't do it. My mind just wasn't there. It wasn't fully there for me.
mm,
And then I managed to just get myself going again at the end of 2019. And I unfortunately had a heavy setback again at the start of 2020. I had a nasty crash on the Moto2. The first time I walked away, fine, but the bike didn't.
yeah,
And we rebuilt the bike like most teams do. You get it going again. And I got on it and I couldn't ride it. And I was so upset because I couldn't ride it and I couldn't work out what was wrong with it. And I was convinced it was me, and I was convinced it was in my head. And then I rode it somewhere else and it did the same again. I still couldn't ride it. And I was just getting even more, I was just digging myself in a deeper
yeah,
hole, because I was getting so upset and so stressed and I couldn't work out what was going on. Um, and then I unfortunately had another nasty crash on it, which broke my collarbone. And it put me so far back at that point that I just didn't even know who I was or what I was doing.
yeah,
And all I've known for the last however many years is bikes, and my whole life evolves around
yeah,
it. Like, I don't know anything different. And it got to the point where I just looked at the bike and I was like, I don't even know how to get on it anymore. I've put myself that far back and dug myself in such a deep hole. Um, we luckily managed to find out that it wasn't the bike. It wasn't me, sorry, it was the
yeah,
bike. There was issues with the bike that was causing the issues. But because I dug myself in such a deep hole, it took me so long to get back out of it. Which is part of the reason that we ended up taking 2020 out, because I struggled so much with it. I struggled massively with my mental health on it.
mm,
And then 2021 was the same. My mindset was miles away. I was getting on it. I was pushing my hardest and I was coming back in, and I was still like 10, 12 seconds off of the pace that I could do on my Moto3 bike. I had everyone trying to do everything we could. We kept throwing things at the bike, trying to make that better. and it all just came down to my head. It wasn't there. It wasn't right.
Yeah.
Something wasn't clicking. And I just couldn't seem to get myself out of that loop. Like, I was so upset about the fact that I was going so slow, but because I was so upset about it, I wasn't focusing on it, so I couldn't get myself to go faster to make myself feel better.
Yeah.
And I got myself in that loop with it for so long, and it wasn't until someone invited us out to Supermoto Land in Spain to go race for them, and I thought, I don't really want to do it, and they were like, no, it's a completely different bike to you, different track, everything, just do it. And it like switched my mindset from day to night, because I got back on it. I was like, I can do it, and I
Wow.
enjoyed it, and it was good fun. And I was slower than I normally was, but it was like, it woke everything back up.
Yeah.
I remembered who I was, I remembered what I was doing, and I managed to come back here and jump back on that motor too afterwards. And I was still slower, but I was like a ridiculous amount faster
Yeah.
than what I was when I went out there. And then it was just a case of chipping away at it and chipping away at it. And it's still hard now. I still have
Yeah.
times I cried at quite a few BSB meetings last year because I just got myself in a loop again. Like, it broke down 3 times in one
Yeah.
weekend. And I was like, what on earth am I supposed to do? Because I can't do it. Or little things like that. And it does set me back. And it doesn't take a lot either to set me back. But I feel like I'm a lot more positive now than I was a couple of years ago. But 2020, 2021 they were tough
Yeah.
for all of us. It wasn't just me. My dad, who built my bike for me, was struggling because he got to the point where he was like, I don't even know what to do. I can't make it any better. There's
Yeah.
nothing that I can do better. He was just throwing bike parts
Oh,
at it
bless
just in
him.
hope that something would literally turn my mindset. Like, if I asked for it, he was like, yeah, go for it, have it, just to try
Yeah.
and make, almost like turn a light switch on and just get something going again. My other half was the same. I was coming in and asking for setups, and he was like, that's completely different to what you need, but if that's what's going to make it work, we'll just try it.
Yeah.
And my mum wrapped it up, and she wrapped it all pretty for me and hoped that that bring me back. And she like surprised. I was away for a week, and she surprised me with a new wrap and wrapped them completely pink because that's what I'd always wanted.
Oh,
And
wow.
we worked so hard as a team, and it drained all of us because it got to the point where we were like, we just can't do this, and what are we doing wrong? So I think at the end of last year at BSB, to be able to stand there and be like, I beat my personal best every single circuit. I went quicker than I did every single circuit, and I achieved a lot. It was almost like, we finally did it. And it was like a positive mindset, which I think is why this year we've gone into it with such a positive mindset, because last year was good. We can do it this year.
Yeah. And it's so amazing because, racing families, they will do anything to make it happen. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. All the money goes to the bike, it goes to the racing. And it's amazing to hear that they just wanted that switch to go, for you to go, it's fine. But obviously it takes more than that. And that experience on the Supermoto just clicked it for you.
Yeah.
And did you sort of, obviously it sort of switched for you that, I can do it. But did it also change your mindset for 2022? So when you were racing, you were like, well, no, the complete mindset switch. Did you realise how important it was then? And then you realised, I didn't have that before.
Yeah, definitely. So I went to Silverstone really positive, had a positive weekend, and then we went into Donington, which was a lot tougher. And almost instantly, I slipped straight back into, I can't do this. They're too quick. I can't do it. I can't keep up. And it was almost instant. And the team did have to stand there and almost stand in front of me and be like, sort yourself out, because we're not doing this again.
Yeah.
We're not doing round 2 again.
Yeah.
And it makes a difference. Like, when I do finally wake up and I'm in a positive mood and I've done it and I'm just like, do you know what? It'll be what it'll be. And I just chill out. I go so much better. And it definitely woke me up to how much of a difference a mindset can make. But I also understand how hard it can be to change that mindset as well.
Is there anything in like your life that you've implemented, like, to sort of help with that mindset? Like, is your training harder? Are you doing different things around, to help the racing, or are you sort of just taking it day by day?
I try to make sure we stay on a bike as much as possible now, because I think that was the worst thing. Obviously, no one's fault, but during COVID, we all had 6 months off.
Yeah.
That didn't help, because I got on a bike, crashed it, broke my collarbone, and then couldn't ride for 6 months because
You were
the whole of
stuck.
the UK
You
went
had
to lockdown.
no choice. Yeah.
So we try to get on bikes as frequently as possible now. Even my little Supermoto, which I unfortunately blew up last week, so that's the end of that. But we try to get that out on a Sunday as and when we can, to try and keep myself going. And if I have a bad day on a bike, we just brush it off and go somewhere that I enjoy afterwards. So if I've had a bad day on the little bike and I didn't like it because I wasn't as quick, we're just like, okay, well, next weekend we'll book this track because I like that track and I'm fast there. So let's go and have a little mindset boost, and then we'll come back to doing what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, well, I'm very grateful that you've taken the time to speak to me, because obviously you're over in Spain, and you told me before we started recording that you chose a circuit that's 3 hours away from the airport. Like, it's not
Yeah.
it's not close. But do you think, like, making those sacrifices, yes, it's 3 hours extra, but I enjoy it, it'll make you feel comfortable. Do you think that does play into it?
Yeah, definitely. And the reason I've chosen this circuit is because we came here at the start of just fixing the Moto2. So when I just started to learn to ride them properly again, and I've got all my data from that, and I've got all my lap times from that, and I've got everything. So I know for a fact tomorrow that realistically I should go out there and smash that lap time within a couple of laps. And that is just the mindset boost I need.
Amazing.
I feel like to be able to say, because it was like this time last year when we came out, and to be able to be there, like, it's 1 year apart, I'm this much quicker. It's just going to do everything for me. The circuit out here is very, very, very technical.
Yeah.
So it's a hard circuit to learn, and it's a hard circuit to ride around. But I just know that last year's time to this year's time, that's gonna be like, we did it. We can see an achievement in that.
That's amazing. And what circuit are you at?
We were riding at Andalucia circuit.
Okay. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's
So
a year apart from when you last were there. And the fact that you made a conscious choice to be like, no, we are going to compare data, we are going to do this, just shows how important this mindset is. Because in this sport, I don't personally race, so I can't, sit there and say, oh, I know. But from speaking to many people, you've got to put the effort in to have a natural mindset, if that makes sense.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and with that, obviously, the mindset can play into like different aspects of your life and things. But what would you say has been your greatest achievement in your race career so far?
In 2017, I took my little 450
Mm-hmm.
that I'd ridden for the last 3 rounds and struggled with. And I kept telling everyone that it wasn't quite right. And then we'd finally found the problem with it. And I jumped back on it after we'd finally fixed it. And I led my first ever proper race,
Wow.
my first ever Super Teams race. And I'd gone from being like 10th, 11th, and I led it. And I spent an entire 12-lap race battling for first place. And I come out on top and I won it. And I come across that start and finish line to my dad hanging over the pit wall, literally screaming as he come over because I'd won my first proper race. And I think that will always be my greatest
Yeah.
achievement because it was my first race win. I was the first ever female to win that race.
Amazing.
And I was the first person that year to stick a 450 on the top step of the podium, and the first
Wow.
girl to stick a 450 on the podium.
So-
So I come out of that race so many achievements up, and I think just that like coming down that start and finish tucked in, knowing there's 5 bikes behind me all battling for this space, thinking I've got to do it, I've got to do it. Just seeing my dad hanging over the side of the pit wall, just cheering, and I don't think I've seen the man smile so much in my entire life. But it was just like that'll always a memory that'll stick with
Yeah.
me. He was supposed to be running my pit board, and he actually got that annoyed because he couldn't keep up because we were changing spaces that much that he threw it down the pit lane and decided he wasn't doing that anymore. Because he said he kept sticking it out, and it'd have like P1 or P2, and then I'd come around and be like 5th, and then he'd put 5th out, and I'd be 1st. So he was like, "I'm done with that."
Just sacked it off. So you should have a placard there with your name on it with all your achievements on it.
Yeah, definitely.
Were you the only girl at that race meeting as well? So
Yeah,
your first girl was put it on the top step on a 450, first girl to win that race, and the only girl there to do it.
Yeah.
That's
Definitely.
insane.
Yeah, definitely. It's a very, very good achievement. And I'll always remember it to this day. It's definitely the first thing I did. I've won races since, but they're never just going to be quite the same as that one.
Yeah, and I think it's safe to say that, it's hard, I think, especially within like the BSB sort of world. It's like if you're not at the front, people don't see you. Even on like social media and things. But I think it is fair to say that I've spoken to many people and I said, well, Jodie, she's doing incredibly. Like, oh my, yeah, like people know you. And I think that's so amazing because you're a role model to young girls. Like I've spoken to girls and they've said, oh, she does an amazing job. And I'm like, exactly. And I think it's so refreshing to see, you should 100% be proud of yourself.
Thank you. It's literally comments like that make it all worthwhile. Definitely things like that. So even when I've had my toughest races, we've come in and there's been like a little girl there that's
Yeah.
come and cheered me on, or she's waved me, and she said that she was screaming for me the whole race. And I think, oh, I just had a rubbish race, but that makes it
Yeah.
so worth it. And that's definitely, I've had people keep me going from things like
Mm.
that. Like there's a couple of little girls that run on the, well, they're not little anymore. They were little when I first knew them, but they've all now gone up onto match kits. And I've known them since they were really, really small, riding them. And they'll always
Yeah.
like straight over to see me. They get so excited to share a track with me and everything like that. And I feel like that just makes it all worthwhile as
Yeah.
well. It just opens everything back up and it makes it so like positive. And to see the people that cheer me on and make me happy, even when I've had a bad race, it boosts mindset again.
Yeah.
It comes all down to
Yeah.
that. And it's definitely something that helps. It fuels your fire.
Yeah.
So
And I remember when I first sort of got into racing with my dad, and he was, as soon as I got some form of interest in it, he was like, oh well Jodie does this, Jodie Fieldhouse, and I was like, okay, I'll look on Instagram, like all of this. Or and every time since, he's been like, have you seen what she's doing? Like you're very much like, my dad's like, look at what she's doing, like she should be your role model. And I'm not trying to kiss your ass or anything, but honestly, I think you're incredible. Like if you probably don't remember, it's fine, I won't take it personally, but I've come over to you at stuff and my dad's like, she loves your stuff, and I always get really shy because I'm like, I don't know what to say to you, because I feel like there's so many things to say.
I do remember that, and I remember everyone's faces.
But
I would like to remember the people that have, like, if someone comes and says, "Oh, they've come and see me here," I'm like, "Yeah, I know. I've seen you." I like to make sure I know everyone, and I appreciate everyone as much as they show interest into me. Because honestly, comments like that mean the world to us, as all of us as a family and as a small team.
Yeah, and I just want to say thank you for not only inspiring me, because there's other people that have inspired me to start on Track Mind, but a big part of it is, well, I am a girl, like I don't know if it's right for me. So you've definitely boosted that. I'm like, you, Sophie McGinn, and all those amazing girls, like I'm like, they can do it, so can I. Even if I don't race, I'm still involved, and I don't think I would have done it without, especially you. Your help, but you didn't know you were helping.
I always say that if you think you can do it, you can do
Yes.
it, and girls can do it too. And actually, sometimes girls can do it just as good, if not better.
Yeah.
So the best thing to always say is you can do it. So if you say, "Can I do that?" Yeah, you can do it.
I love that. And I always ask my guests on Track Mind, any advice they give to X, Y, and Z. So for you, what advice would you give to young girls trying to come through and get into racing?
You can do it.
Yeah.
And everyone will tell you you can't, but you can. And you'll love it once you do it. And it's going to be tough. It's not going to be an easy ride. It's going to be hard. You're going to spend a lot of time stressed. But for every second that you're out on that bike, it's absolutely worth it, because the second your helmet goes on and that bike revs up, it's like a completely different world in there. No one talks to you.
Yeah.
No one says anything. You're in your own space, and there's just no feeling like it. So if you're thinking about it, do it. You won't regret it, and it'll be the best thing that you do. And I can promise that.
Wow. Yeah. I'm going to take that on board personally as well.
Yeah, you're doing a really good job with everything you're doing here as well, and
Right.
I appreciate you inviting me on today as well.
Thank you. So is there anything you want to sort of plug? Do you want to sort of give a little shout out to?
Just shout out to everyone that keeps me going, basically. Everyone that tells me I've done well on a bad day, everyone that tells me I've done well on a good day, everyone that's there that comes by the awning to come and take pictures, to come and get signatures, to buy hoodies that keep us going on the track. Like, if it wasn't for all of you guys, we wouldn't be doing half the things that we do. And just everyone that's helped out. Like, we've got a Huggers Club this year. They've helped out massively. We wouldn't be sat here in Spain right now if it wasn't for them. So just everyone like that, everyone that takes the time to make a comment, that takes the time to swing by and takes the time to just drop or donate any money to us, that is amazing. And I can't thank everyone enough for everything that, and all of my sponsors that keep us going.
And am I right in saying there's a link where people can donate and everything?
Yeah, so in my Instagram bio, we have a GoFundMe link for that. Or we also run a Huggers Club, which means it's £150, but you get your name on the bike for the whole year. So you stay on the bike, he comes to every single round, and you get a little goodie box with a mug and a hoodie and stuff like that in. So Yeah, and
Amazing.
that keeps us
Yeah.
going.
And your Instagram will be linked in the description of these, so people can go and check it out straight from there. So
yeah, definitely drop me a message if you want to know anything. I can answer your questions. I can give support where it's needed. Or if you just want to have a chat, I'm there to have a chat.
yeah.
I love a chat.
You'll be getting me messaging you now, like, Jodie, I just want to chat.
I'm okay with that. I would love a chat, especially for anyone that just feels like they need someone to chat to as well.
Mm,
That's the important thing. I'm always here for a chat.
yeah, definitely. Well, thank you
Definitely.
so much for joining me. I really appreciate your time, especially, you're over in Spain. It's taking time out to chat to me. I'm so grateful. Keep doing what you're doing. You're smashing it. And I think everyone agrees. So
Yeah. Thank you for
that's
having
all
me, and I
right.
really appreciate the invite. It was really nice to be
Yeah.
invited.
Well, thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. And I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.